Hey, Chris here, and we're going to look at integrating Jamboard with our quiz tool so we can get a bit more feedback or a bit more work from the students so we can see their voice a bit more. So I'm going to do a quiz and then we'll go through in a minute to show you how to do all this to set up. So as a student now, I'm going to take this quiz called Practice and Sharing and start quiz. It's always good to see what a student sees, and then we'll see the back end on how to set this up. So we can answer his questions however way he wants. And then the third question I've got a little bit different where it's going to link to a Jamboard. So when they click on that link, it should pop open here. And then we're going to see that they've got one called Billy Joel 31 Practice and Sharing. So I set it up so that every student gets a copy of this, and we'll use Google Classroom backend to kind of do that to make life easier. But we'll look at this, it looks like. On this area, I can then start writing on here, and they can say, okay, we're going to divide both sides by 2. And I'm just using my mouse right now, even though I've got a tablet laptop, just to show that you can go ahead and type on it and do whatever you want with it, and they can change colors if they want to make it look nice, and then they can go ahead and write however they want, or they can type as well. So they can also add text box in here, they can add sticky notes, they can have a picture if they want to from their own file, whatever they want. So as they're going through there, I'm just going to pause for a second. And I wanted to bring in across here the teacher view. So this is me as mine, and actually I can see them working, not quite in real time. It takes a minute to update or whatever, but I'd see them. And then if there are multiple students, I'd see their name here as well and find out if they're on slide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as they walk across too. So I can actually watch them working in almost real time. Or I can, if I wanted to see exactly in real time, I can specifically enter Billy Joel's one and see how he's going. And if it wasn't a quiz or whatever, I could be marking it at the same time as Billy Joel or as the teacher and be writing in a different color. Anyway, so that's in there. And the student can scroll through to the next page and the next page and the next page. And when they're done, they're coming back into here and they're going to be adding a file straight from their Google Drive. And there it is there. Okay. And if he clicks on it and says add, then it, just like in before with the Google Drive, it shares it as a PDF at that time. Okay, so submit quiz. Submit quiz. So as the teacher, then I can come back in and I can grade the quiz just like I do grade any other quiz. Grade. And there's only one person attempted so far. Okay, I did this one before, so this one's auto-graded, this one's auto-graded. And then this one we have to grade ourselves, so then I can click on it and it'll actually launch that PDF. Now if I wanted to, I can also go into the Jamboard and write right on it too, or if this is just not a formative and I just wanted to, or I can come back to the grade one here and go into my own Jamboard that way, open that up, and then look for Billy Joel's one, and it's actually even easier to write on. So I could go ahead and say there's Billy Joel's one, and I could write on it easily by grabbing my pen, maybe doing a different color if I want to, and marking it up any way I want. And then if Billy Joel went back to this, then he can actually see it as well, right? So we can write things and say yes and no and everything else we want to do there. And then if I wanted to, then I could download this PDF and give it back to him as feedback, or I could just do the feedback here. It depends if it's formative, summative, whatever you want to do with it. Okay, so next up we're going to create that Jamboard. So I made a folder inside my math course just to kind of keep things together. I'm going to say new, and I'm going to go to more, and I want a Google Jamboard. And in that Jamboard, I'm going to call it test for now, whatever. Okay, and this is like my master one, and so maybe I should call that master as well, so we don't get confused and don't share that one out to someone else. Okay, and then what I can do is I can add things, so I can go to equation editor if I want to. I can add in graphs if I want to. I can add in whatever I want to do, and if I add in that graph as an image, it gets copied, and what I do is I close out of here, and I can't right click and paste, but I'm going to do Control V to paste, so I can put in graphs in here, I can put in equations in here, whatever I want, and then the student has the option to write, and we can handwrite, we can put sticky notes, we can make multiple pages, whatever we want. Now to share to a student, a couple ways. If you just want to share this that the whole class can use it and everyone can see it at the same time, we're going to share. And the easiest thing to do is get out of here and go down to anybody with the link and not to worry about anything. And then you can make them, instead of viewer, you can make them editor. And then we share this, and we do this in the middle of a class, and we copy the link and share that. Or if we want to, what we can do is we can say, okay, that's my master one. I'm going to make a copy for each student. So I could say make a copy. Instead of this copy of, I'm going to say this is Billy Joel. and I can put it wherever I want to in my drive. I can choose which folder, and then from there, once it's created here, then I can share it directly with Billy Joel. So this is sort of the easiest way, but takes a bit of time. And so then I'm going to say this is shared to Bill Joel 31, and I'm going to make him editor. So I own it still, but then I can make him editor, and I can take it away from him too. It'll notify him, or I don't have to notify him. So this is one way of doing it. I have to do that for each student and share to each student, so that when they click on the link to Google Jamboard, they're going to see it in theirs. Okay, so let's look at the student sees. If this is Billy Joel over here and he refreshes this page, then he's now going to see that one, Billy Joel test master. Okay, and he can go ahead and edit it and do whatever he wants. So there's the quick and easy one to do it for a few people. If we wanted to be a little trickier and do a Google Classroom, the unfortunate thing, we have to invite them to Google Classroom first, but then we can use that back end to create things. So I'm just going to use this one for now and say math test. I created a class already. I put inside the class, I've invited people, but they have to accept to get in there, but then I can go ahead and post some classwork. So if I want to post classwork, I could say create, and I want to create an assignment, and in the assignment I'm going to say test exam. And the cool thing is then when I say add, I can go right from my Google Drive, and this works for any kind of folder, and it forces a copy into them. So this is the test master one. I'm going to go to the master one, insert, and then instead of students can view, I'm going to make a copy for each student. So it pushes into each of them. Instead of assign, maybe I want to call it a schedule, so it opens up on Thursday, or I can save it as a draft and assign it later, or I can assign it now if I want to. There's the test one is in draft mode, and whenever I want to, I can assign it, and that pushes it into their folder. Just the extra step though is they need to get into the class. So because I created this class and invited that student under my people, I've added him in there. He hasn't logged in yet, he's just been invited. So we can get him to go to his email and see the invitation, or I can get that invite link and invite him that way too. So the invite link is right here, and I could post that in one of my first news items to get people getting in there first if I want to as well. And if that invite link is inside the Google Classroom, then it goes ahead and invites them in. So if I put that link into my course, then they could click on the link. So I posted this as an announcement to join the Google Classroom. They just have to click the link rather than going to their email and back and forth. Now they're saying you're invited, you're going to join. And now that they're part of the class, we don't need to use anything in here. We can kind of ignore that, but it means that his Google Jamboard now, whenever he goes back to Google Jamboard, let's go back in here to our home page. Okay, if he clicks on his Google Jamboard, then it's going to push that master one in there to him. So we want to invite them earlier, so it pushes it out, but it just makes it a little bit easier to push them out. Final consideration, this one is the one that I created and then shared individually with Billy Joel. So if he opens that one, and you'll see under sharing that he's not the owner of it. I'm the owner of it, and that means I can remove ownership from him. So I could take away ownership when I'm in my own. If I go back to his home page on Billy Joel, this is the one that was created automatically from Google Classroom. And if he opens that one, it means he's the owner of it, and I can't remove ownership if I wanted to. So if I went to share, you'll see that he's the owner of it because it was pushed out from Google Classroom. I can't remove ownership, so he's got a copy of that whenever he wants.